You know that moment when your phone lights up with a party invite and your brain does a weird little calculation? Crowded room, loud music, small talk, traffic. And then, almost guiltily, you imagine a quiet evening at home. Dim lights, your favorite food, maybe a show you've already watched 3 times. And suddenly, the couch wins. If you've ever canceled plans and felt relief instead of regret, you might have wondered, is something wrong with me? Or maybe people tease you. You're boring now. But psychology has a very different explanation for why, for some people, a calm evening at home feels richer than the wildest party. And it's not just about being shy, or antisocial, or old before your time. There's a hidden pattern behind it, and once you see it, you might understand yourself or someone close to you in a completely new way. So let's talk about what psychology says when you choose silence over noise. Picture this. It's Friday night. Your week has been long. Meetings, messages, expectations. You've been on all day, responding, smiling, adjusting. By the time evening arrives, your energy feels thin. A party isn't exciting anymore. It feels expensive, emotionally expensive. This is where the first type often shows up, though they don't announce themselves loudly. They're the ones who recharge inward. When they're alone or in calm spaces, their nervous system exhales. Crowds don't energize them, they train them. Psychology calls this introverted energy regulation, but that label is way too small for what's happening. It's not about hating people, it's about how stimulation hits the brain. Loud sounds, overlapping conversations, constant movement. For some minds, this creates cognitive overload. The brain is processing everything at once: tone, facial expressions, background noise, social cues. So while others feel alive in that chaos, this type feels like their battery is being quietly siphoned away. If this is you, quiet evenings aren't avoidance, they're maintenance. And maybe you've noticed something else. When you do go out, you enjoy it, for a while. But there's always a moment when your body says, okay, enough. And once you're home again, there's relief, calm, balance restored. Then there's another profile, and this one surprises people. Imagine someone sitting at home on a Saturday night, not scrolling endlessly, not lonely, not bored, but deeply absorbed, reading, creating, thinking, maybe just staring into space, letting their thoughts wander. This person isn't choosing quiet because they lack a social life. They're choosing it because their inner world is loud enough. Psychology links this to high internal stimulation. Some people generate rich mental activity on their own. Ideas, reflections, imagined conversations, future plans. Their mind doesn't need constant external input to stay engaged. So while others feel alive in that chaos, parties can feel oddly shallow. Not because people are uninteresting, but because the environment doesn't allow depth. The music is too loud, conversations are rushed, everything stays on the surface. At home, in silence, their thoughts can stretch. They can feel something fully. They can think without interruption. If you relate to this, you've probably heard comments like, "You think too much," or "You're always in your head." But psychology doesn't see that as a flaw. It sees it as a different orientation toward meaning. Now, here's where things get more emotional. There's a group who didn't start choosing quiet evenings for comfort. They started choosing them for safety. Picture someone who once loved going out. They said yes to every plan. They stayed late. They tried to belong. But over time, crowds began to feel unpredictable, draining, even threatening in subtle ways. Maybe they were emotionally overstimulated for years. Maybe they learned to perform socially, to please, to adapt, to be easy. And eventually, their system said, enough. Psychology calls this a sensitivity response. When someone has high emotional awareness, crowded spaces can overwhelm not just the senses, but the emotions. They pick up on moods, tensions, micro-conflicts, unspoken expectations. At home, the nervous system finally relaxes. No reading the room, no managing impressions, no bracing for impact. If this resonates, you might feel a strange mix of peace and guilt when you cancel plans. Peace because you're safe, guilt because you think you should want more. But psychology is clear on this. Choosing calm is often an act of self-protection, not withdrawal. Then there's another type, and this one is often misunderstood. They enjoy people, they enjoy laughter, they enjoy connection, but they've become deeply selective. They've realized that not all socializing nourishes them. Crowded parties can feel like fast food for the soul, loud, stimulating, instantly gratifying, but ultimately empty. A quiet evening, or a small gathering, feels like a real meal. Psychologically, this reflects value-based social filtering. As people mature emotionally, they stop chasing stimulation and start choosing alignment. They don't want many conversations, they want meaningful ones. So they'd rather stay home than spend hours talking without being seen. They'd rather have silence than shallow noise. If you're here, you've probably noticed that your tolerance for crowds has gone down as your self-awareness has gone up. It's not that you've become antisocial, it's that you've become intentional. And finally, here's the twist most people don't expect. Some people choose quiet evenings not because they lack confidence, but because they finally have it. Early on, parties can feel validating. Attention feels good. Belonging feels necessary. Being invited feels important. But as self-worth stabilizes, the need for constant external affirmation fades. Psychology calls this internal validation orientation. Your sense of worth comes from alignment, not applause. So staying home doesn't feel like missing out. It feels like choosing yourself. And maybe that's the core truth behind all of this. When you choose a quiet evening at home over a crowded party, psychology doesn't see weakness. It sees regulation, awareness, self-knowledge. It sees someone listening to their nervous system instead of social pressure, someone prioritizing depth over noise, someone who understands that rest, reflection, and calm are not the opposite of a full life. They're often the foundation of it. So, which part of this sounded like you? Was it the need to recharge, the rich inner world, the sensitivity, the selectiveness, or the quiet confidence? And here's a final question to sit with tonight, maybe on that couch you love so much. When you choose quiet, are you avoiding life or finally living it on your own terms? If this resonated, you're not alone, even in the silence. And if you want to explore more of the psychology behind everyday choices like this, you know where to find us.